Hi everyone. So, let's talk about drills. Drills are an important part of any kind of training regime, right? It doesn't matter what you train for, you're going to have drills that are meant to facilitate and improve skills and attributes towards your desired training outcomes. Now, what we see a lot in martial arts is the confusion of getting good at a drill with getting good at an outcome or achieving an outcome. And those two things are not the same. And I'm quoting the great Hock Hockheim saying, don't become a drill master, okay? Or don't get really, really good at doing the wrong thing. Now, particularly, we see this with a lot of traditional martial arts and a lot of stuff in Filipino martial arts, which is where I do a lot of training in the area. So maybe that's just what I'm exposed to, but I see it a lot. And I love the Filipino martial arts, but I do have that, kind of love-hate relationship with it. And you've probably heard me talk about that before, right? A lot of really cool things that come with doing the Filipino martial arts, right? Like the Kali, Eskrima, Arnis, whatever you call it, all the different versions, right? All the different hand patterns and footwork and trappings and disarms and drills. It's really cool, right? And there's some cool things that you can learn from that. But don't mistake being able to do, like Heaven 6 in all its variations and forms, or being able to do Sinawali drills with actually being able to fight, right? So what we see a lot of time with these kind of drills is you get one single attack, and then, you block it, you disarm it, you counter, you take the other guy's stick, you do all this cool stuff. That's amazing, but that doesn't simulate what a real fight looks like. And I think the biggest exposure to that for me was after doing Filipino martial arts for several years. And then going to the Philippines and training with some really amazing masters in the arts. And it was really mind-blowing. Like I absolutely loved it and did it a few times. And eventually we were taken to a stick fighting tournament. And I was expecting to see some really, really cool stuff, like all the stuff that I just spent time training. Didn't see any of it. What you then see is two people wrapped up in these massive, massive protective gear outfit things, grabbing sticks and literally just like bashing each other, kind of caveman style. Right? All that stuff went out the window. So yes, adrenaline and yes, fine motor skill and blah, 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 blah. But what that really illustrated to me in a very powerful way, there was a huge disconnect between the skills they were practicing, how they were practicing them, and what they actually wanted to be able to do. Right? If what you want to be able to do is fight with a stick, then doing all these drills is not necessarily the best way to do it. Is there room for those kind of drills? Yes. But that doesn't necessarily simulate fighting. Same thing happens if you look at, any kind of striking art, right? Like, if you want to learn how to be good at fighting, well, what you have to do is fight, right? You're never going to be really, really good at sparring if all you do is pad work or bag work, right? You have to get in the ring and actually fight. Yes, that makes up a part of it, and it develops your hand speed and your coordination and your power and your fitness and blah, 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 blah. But if you want to learn how to spar, you got to spar. You want to learn how to roll, you got to roll. You want to learn how to do self-defense, well, you can't just go into the street and get into fights. You got to try and simulate it as closely as possible. But a lot of time there's this massive disconnect. So, lesson from all of this is think about what your training outcomes are, and then assess your training methodologies. Are they aligned to, is what you're doing the best way to get to where you want to be, right? Now, obviously, we still want to make sure we have fun in training. Yes, 100% agreed. But at the same time, make sure your training is aligned with your goals. Assess your methodologies, assess them regularly. Ask people who don't necessarily train with you to review them, so you don't necessarily, get caught into tunnel vision because of bias. And asking the same people who do what you do if whether it's good, because obviously they're going to say yes. So just have a think about that. Training methodologies, training outcomes, mash them together, see if they work.